How's it going, everybody? It's your boy, MTG, coming at you with something a little different today. Today I wanted to talk about a puzzle that stumped me for frickin' years, y'all. Somebody posted this puzzle into a Facebook group that I was in, and I tried and tried and tried and couldn't come up with a solution. So I forgot about it, put it out of my mind until a few weeks ago. Let's start off with the puzzle itself. It consists of a custom rule set in which you start with no cards in hand and no permanents, and your opponent starts with 18 permanents and no cards in their deck. You're allowed as much life as you'd like, and I'm assuming your opponent would have 0 life, 20 life, whatever they want. They can't die anyway. And you can choose which cards you draw and in what order. It also says that no miscards are allowed, so no cards from unsets, no commanders, stuff like that. And that our opponent will take no actions. They'll only resolve triggers, so we don't have to worry about them like attacking us or anything like that. So taking a look at the cards, they have Eidolon or Rhetoric, which only allows players to cast 1 spell per turn. They have Arayo Essence, which will counter the first spell cast each turn by us. Leyline of the Void, which prevents graveyard shenanigans by exiling all the cards in our graveyard, and cards never even hit the graveyard, they just go straight to exile. They have an Avacyn, which gives all their permanents indestructible, a Sigarda, which prevents us from making them sacrifice permanents, a Mirror Gallery, which allows them to ignore their legend rule, an Elishnorn, which pumps all their stuff and debuffs all our stuff, and a Progenitor Mimic on the Elishnorn, allowing them to get a new Elishnorn every turn. They have a Stabilizer, preventing cards from being cycled, and a Meddling Mage, specifically on Genesis Hydra, preventing that specific spell from being cast. Side note, this part of the puzzle seems kind of scummy. Clearly somebody solved the puzzle with Genesis Hydra, and then the creator of the puzzle was just like, well, guess I need to fix that. Anyway, back to it. They have a Blazing Archon, preventing us from attacking them, a Perforos, which essentially just establishes a clock against us since we don't technically have infinite life, and a Platinum Angel, which prevents us from winning the game and prevents them from losing the game. They also have a Frozen Ether, which makes all of our artifacts, creatures, and lands enter the battlefield tapped, and a Back to Basics, preventing non-basic lands from untapping on untap steps. The last line of cards has a Privileged Position, giving the rest of their board hexproof, a Greater Oromancy, which gives all of their enchantments Shroud, but really is only used to give Privileged Position Shroud, and a Witchbane Orb, which will give our opponent hexproof. Now I know what you're saying. Yeah, this is a ton of setup, and clearly somebody was trying to create an unbreakable puzzle. But I found a way around it. More on that later. Since there are so many cards to this puzzle, it can be really difficult to remember all the abilities and effects. I'm going to walk you through the different steps I went through to solve this puzzle. When I first saw the puzzle, I jumped right into it, assuming I would be able to find a way to crack it with just a little effort. Oh man, was I wrong. At first I was like, just cast Upheaval. You'll bounce all your opponent's stuff. They'll lose on the draw step when they can't draw any cards. No. Your Upheaval gets countered by the Arayo Essence. So that's a yikes. Then I was like, oh, okay. First play Besiju. Then play Upheaval using the Besiju, and it can't be countered. Also, no. Besiju will never untap due to the Back to Basics. So then I came up with a decent idea, but it would require warping one of the rules that the puzzle set, so it's not really a solution. The rule states that you have no cards in hand at the beginning of the game. Should you be able to start the game with 1 card in hand, you could win with a Leyline of Life Force, putting it onto the battlefield for free at the start of the game, and then just casting something like a Cyclone Summoner, which would then be uncounterable because of the Leyline. However, due to the rule, this solution doesn't work. So I had kind of cracked it, but I wasn't satisfied with it since it had to break some of the rules to crack the puzzle, so I kept looking. When I was researching different ways around this lock, I found a couple of abilities that you can activate from your hand, which is kind of neat. Things like Forecast and Cycling. Now, Cycling is turned off due to the stabilizer, but other abilities like Forecast and Channel could still be useful. But I looked through all the cards that had like Forecast or Channel or things like that, and none of them really were what we were looking for. None of them could help us destroy this lock until today. Today, a card was spoiled for Kamigawa Neon Dynasty that I believe breaks this lock. This card is Mirror Shell Crab. That's right, a common. I'm sure most of you understand where I'm going with this, but for those of you who don't, I'll explain. Channel is an activated ability that you activate from your hand. When you activate a channel ability, you aren't casting a spell, but rather just putting an ability onto the stack. So, this gets around the Eidolon of Rhetoric ability, which only lets a player cast one spell per turn, because activating the channel ability isn't actually casting a spell. So what this means is, since the Mirror Shell Crab ability states counter target spell or ability unless its controller pays 3, you can use this to counter the triggered ability from Arayo Essence that gets placed on the stack when you cast your first spell of a turn. Since the opponent's board state is manaless, they cannot pay to satisfy your ability, and so their triggered ability will be countered and your spell is going to resolve. So, with that, I submit that this is how you beat the puzzle, following all rules. Turns 1 through 9, play basic lands, at least 2 of which are islands. Turn 10, draw an Upheaval, but don't play it. Turn 11, draw a Mirror Shell Crab. Now cast your Upheaval. And when the triggered ability from the Arayo Essence goes onto the stack to counter your Upheaval, counter that ability with your Mirror Shell Crab's channel ability. Now pass the turn to your opponent and laugh as they realize that you finally broke their puzzle with a new card printed 4 years after the puzzle was created. And with that, I finally done it. Aw, man, you guys have no idea how long I've spent thinking about this puzzle. GG's puzzle. GG's. So that's it. That's how I solved the puzzle 4 years after the original posting, and it may have come from somewhere else. This is just the Reddit thread that I was looking at. Let me know if you can come up with a different solution in the comments. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and have a great day.
Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I'll pump